Hey, everybody, welcome back. It's been a minute. There's been a lot of things going on, but I am back in this seat. Welcome to From the Suggestion Box, navigating feedback, the good, the bad, and the say what, where when it comes to feedback, you don't let the good stuff go to your head and the bad stuff go to your heart. My first guest as I'm back in the seat is the amazing Trey Deadwyler. He is phenomenal. I've had the opportunity to have great conversations with him. And I was like, listen, I am starting my podcast back. Will you please come on? And he was like, yes, absolutely. So let me welcome Trey to the podcast. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I am doing well. Excellent.
Glad to be
Excellent.
here.
So
Glad
I'm
to
just
be
going to
here.
tell you a little bit about Trey, and then Trey, I'm going to have you, embellish on yourself. But
Okay.
Trey is affectionately known as the service nerd, which I absolutely love, by his colleagues. He's the founder and executive director of Think for Good and the Service Nerd Collective, with over 2 decades of leadership and nonprofit development experience. He's dedicated a majority of his career to supporting the national service movement. His civic and professional transcript spans organizations such as the American Red Cross, Atlanta Police Department, Communities and Schools, Morehouse College, Spelman College, Points of Light Foundation, AmeriCorps, and it goes on and on and on. He's had so much great experience. And as a result of the commitment to communities, he's been honored with the Corporation for National Community Service Innovation Award, the Presidential Volunteer Service Award, selected as one of Aspen Institute's nonprofit leadership fellows, a New Leaders Council Fellow, and Georgia Forward's Game Changers, named one of the most influential leaders by B Magazine, and currently serving as an honorary commander at Dobbins ARB. Trey, welcome.
Thanks. I'm glad to be here. When I read that, I don't know what to do. It's kind of when I hear that rather, it's kind of odd to like hear it. A lot of folks will feel like so all of that's happening at once.
Yeah.
Most of that's just happening and very concurrently, all at one particular time. Really, really cool life. I guess I've had it over the last couple decades.
Yes, and so impactful, and that is just what is so exciting. So I have so many questions. Uh,
Okay.
my first question is, have you ever worked in radio, my friend?
I have. I did. I worked a little bit of radio on campus at Southern
Okay.
Polytechnic State University.
Okay.
I was also a guest here and there with uh, a friend of mine had a radio show called Casual Conversations on WRFG
Nice.
here in Atlanta. And then I've done a couple of little features here and there, but I really have wanted to get back into radio. I was like, I got other stuff to do. And it was so hard to get in at one point. Now I think, seems like a lot of people are getting in different ways.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. No, you have that, you just got that
Yeah, I
radio
appreciate it.
voice, that radio presence. I was like, oh yeah, I have to ask. I have to ask.
The
All right.
question is, do I do smooth jazz? That's what the funny part. Like,
Yeah,
is it a quiet storm type of
right.
conversation, or do I want to be, so I think I have to figure out like what type of genre or how I'm doing, that stuff, or if it's just talk radio, which I would love to do, truthfully, and just, just really invest in people. So we'll see.
Well, listen, either way you go, I'd listen to you. I'd listen to you. Either way.
Right on.
I
I
love it.
appreciate
I love it.
that. All right.
Okay, man. Tell us, what do you do at Think for Good?
Most of the times, people will call and approach us for workshops, trainings, and consulting. We do a good amount of coaching that I think not everyone knows about. And so in that space of like, how do you build the competencies to perform at a high level for a leader? And so as we started to, well, if I can give a little bit of a little history,
Yeah.
when we first started out, we were doing more of the same. I was building out programs, helping with implementation, doing some evaluation work, and so on. I'm a systems person, right? I
Mm.
believe everything is a system, and so over time, you start to realize that sometimes the system operators are the cog, are the stick in the cog, And so we start focusing a lot more on coaching. We start really focusing on how do we make sure that our leaders have the skills, knowledge, abilities, the core competencies, and beyond to actually do that work. And so most of the times, like this week, I just flew back from a session. We did something called the Leading Beyond Compliance series, which involves leading from within. It talks about that that presence of leadership, but also like we that everything that we do has a lens on it, and we're coloring our reality, which also means it's affecting how we're going to lead,
Mm.
or determining even how we're going to lead. We talk about coaching, how do you use Socratic inquiry in your leadership practice so that you can get more out of people than you probably would with a stick and carrot.
Hmm.
We talk about giving feedback in that session as well,
Hmm.
and how do you give what I call the accurate affirmation or the careful critique, which is the CARE dash FUL, careful critique. I
Mm.
think you can do it,
Love
and
that.
it's the same system, same process to affirm someone than it is to provide them something that's going to be constructive for them. So that's what we do. We've worked with teams in Mumbai and Johannesburg
Mm.
to Lagos to Toronto, down in Mexico City. We've basically been all over and loved it. I've definitely loved it being in the helm here, and so that's pretty much what we do.
Okay, Mr. Worldwide, what?
Oh
Okay,
yeah.
okay, okay. One of the things that we were talking about was leadership and just
Hmm.
how important it is
Yep.
and what a great skill um, it is for people to have.
Yep.
And often a lot of people find themselves in leadership without having those skills and they're set up to fail, to be
Hmm.
honest, because we've all seen it. Just because you're great at your job doesn't mean that you're a great leader, right? And not everybody necessarily wants to lead and they're thrust into this position of now they're having to lead a whole bunch of people and all those
Yep.
kinds of things. So
Yep.
let me ask you this. Um, what do you think are the three like vital must-haves for a good leader? And it doesn't have to be three, maybe it could be five or two or whatever, but like just vital must-haves out of like these things. If you don't possess these things, you're going to struggle as a leader.
Okay. So first off, I think, uh, as you said, also you can't just turn leadership on.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things I would say that we've definitely noticed over the years, you can look at all the leaders that we love and that we've loved to follow, or that we find that we're enamored with, even.
Yes.
Um, I think they've had some key characteristics. One, and I talk about this probably a lot. I think they are very present to
Mm.
start. Presence, I believe, is also the precursor to leadership. It's
Hmm.
very hard to lead from afar. Not saying
Hmm.
it's possible, but definitely when you are, it's also good to be in proximity from a thinking standpoint, voice, physically, whatever it may be, but also just to be right there. So present, I think from a leadership standpoint, you have to be present. I always talk about you have to be where your feet are.
Mm.
So if you are leading people, be with them in that march, and that can help. I think the second thing we want to look at is being introspective. The best leaders are have a great understanding of where they are at that moment, so they can also provide what I would say equitable leadership for the person or people that they are actually leading. The way I lead this person may not necessarily be the way I lead this person. So
Mm-hmm.
that presence and then that introspection of like, how am I right now? What am I feeling? What am I thinking? What's going on within my body? Am I in the right environment right now? Do I have the right tone and technique and things like that? That's really important to start. I think another part is I think a leader that we would love is always being steady. Um, and there's just something that's about talking to someone that has great consistency,
Mm-hmm.
where no matter where you're gonna get a pretty much the same personality, no matter what environment they're in.
Mm-hmm.
No matter if they're in the big meeting or the small meeting or at lunch at the bowling alley, or you see them at the mall or pumping gas, you want to see that type of like, oh, they're the same in that way. I,
Mm-hmm.
I also would add probably my last one. Well, two more.
Okay.
I think authenticity is there, and the importance of authenticity is very similar to that steadiness, but it's the way I define it or the way I explain it is that you're living according to the author's intent. You have your understanding of your own agency and you're writing your own story. As people have heard the old adage, if you don't write your story, someone's going to write it for you. But
Mm-hmm.
this also goes in that place of like, hey, I need to make sure that I am living. Those leaders are also living the dreams for themselves, not just the dream of others, but it's also their own dream. They're also not living the fears of other people at the same time. I think that's important. So that goes into courage. I think courage is extremely important. Just like Dr. Angela said, if we're not practicing courage, it's one of the key virtues to practice. If not, no other virtues can actually
Mm.
work out. So I think that's where I would come from a place of leadership.
Well, I'm glad we're starting off light.
Okay.
Yeah, no, no, that is amazing. If you're watching this, I'm sorry, I have my notes out. I'm taking notes.
Okay.
I'm not
Yeah.
even gonna lie.
Please take notes. Please take notes. Yeah.
Dropping gems. This is amazing. This is amazing. Sometimes, how do you know if you're not a good leader? Because most of the time, in my
Mhm.
experience,
Mhm.
in jobs that I've had and all those kinds of things, the people who were leading, who a lot of people had issues with, didn't know that they weren't a good leader.
Right.
Like, are there things that you can do to ensure that you are a good leader?
Sure. Sure. Um, like I said earlier, from a few moments ago, that introspection is necessary. Um, and where the introspection stops, that's where the inquiry begins.
Mm,
And so, at some point, you have to start asking the right questions to people, and they have to figure out, or you can ask more of yourself, of like, are people following? How are people reacting to me if I send them a quick email? When I'm on the phone with folks, are people standoffish? Does anyone actually have an opportunity? Is someone okay with even countering an idea I have? Is everyone seems like they're walking on eggshells with me?
mm,
Are they bold in their decisions, or are they too bold and almost disrespectful? That's a
mm,
different thing. Those people feel like they're at ease and able to come to me with a question or a challenge that I can help solve. Are people, am I actually appreciative of those that I'm serving? As
mm,
Dr. Robert Greenleaf said, are the people that I'm serving growing?
mm.
Are the people that I'm leading growing? And so those are some indicators of like, oh, okay, success, or those are some indicators of success or deficiencies that I would look at and say, after you've gone through the introspection part, really be okay with and hard inquiry with folks and seeing where people are. And so feedback is kind. Feedback is neutral. You can use that as much as any way you like. And so gathering feedback of what can I do to improve? How can I serve and help you grow more? How can I grow, in a particular way? How can I be a better leader for you? That's that's important. Now, here's the crazy thing about that.
Okay.
Those that are just able to do that already makes them a great leader.
Yeah.
The folks that don't even do that at all, that's probably an indicator that they're not.
Hmm.
And so that's where I would
Hmm.
start.
I mean, and people, this was not scripted. He went to that feedback. It's
I have
called
no
from the
notes.
suggestion back, navigating feedback. I'm just
Yeah,
saying,
I have
it's
no
a
notes or
thing.
anything. Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
So since we
yeah.
are going that
Okay.
route, and as I often say, talking about my favorite F word, feedback. What is a piece of feedback that you have received that changed your life?
I probably tell the story probably too much, maybe not too much, but first, I it was 2012.
Okay.
We're in Chicago.
Shut
Uh,
down.
I I was just finishing up a conference. I had my first coaching experience. I actually had my first coach. and that was our first meeting there.
Okay.
Um, Within about 30 minutes, probably less than that. I'll go back into the recording, remember. But within the first moments of us meeting each other, uh, she said to me directly to my face, straight face, "You're a fish out of
Oh,
water." She said, "You are." Um, she said, "You're a fish out of water. You're living a fragmented life."
oh,
And she said this, and then she said, "As soon as you bring your whole self to your work, you're gonna find success."
wow.
So, and then we started the conversation like, so what am I doing? And she, it was because we had this diagnostic tool,
Yeah.
and as she's having the conversation, she pauses and says, this right here and this right here and who you are, these aren't lining up. What's actually happening?
Mm, mm,
And when she, as we got to it, and she's like, well, I have to show up a certain way. She's like, no, you don't. You have to show up who
mm,
you are. This is why
mm,
authenticity is so important for me. And so when she said that, when she said I had a fragmented life, this is also when I'm experimenting and doing some other, doing my other work while I'm also working full time. And so she said, once you bring those together, I
mm,
guarantee you're going to find great success.
mm,
She was absolutely right. And that's where I believe I found my voice. I believe I became much more of an authentic leader. And, and again, I'm pretty consistent. Yeah, I think I would say people will find me, in a lot of different environments. Uh, I've seen we've had a barbecue outside my house, and we would have people being counseled on the couch. It's a weird thing. It is no trouble for us to be at conferences or out somewhere, and there can be a moment where I have a word for someone, and we go from there. So but that was some of the biggest feedback, or the most impactful feedback that I had some 2000, I don't know what was that, 2012, and it shifted everything in my life. And I
mm,
think, it allowed me to step out and become an entrepreneur full time,
mhm.
and really start my company and go from there.
I love everything about that. I love everything about that. Okay. Oof, okay. A couple of things.
Hmm.
Number one, I love that you said feedback is kind and not nice. Shout out to Amira because I'm going to try to get her on here to talk about her book, The Price of Nice. Um,
Ooh, that's good.
yes, can't wait for that. So I love that you said that because that just aligns with exactly the things that she's saying as well. And this question is kind of like both sides of the coin.
Sure.
So a lot of times people don't want to give feedback because they
Hmm.
don't want to hurt somebody else's feelings.
Hmm.
They feel like they're going to hurt their feelings if they say the truth, no matter how nicely you say it, no matter how much you butter it up.
Hmm.
Okay. So, and you said, and she, in the first 30 minutes of meeting you, she was like, bam, 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 called you out, read you like a book.
Hmm.
Some of the stuff that what you said and perhaps how it was said easily could have been taken offense because it was just
Absolutely.
like, you don't know. And because you could be like, you don't know me. You met me for 30 minutes. How you gonna?
Yeah.
So how on both sides of that, how do you, and I guess this is where that courage comes in. How do you, give that feedback knowing that you can't control how that person is going to respond, and very well their feelings might be hurt and they might get upset. Like one of the things that I always try to say is no judgment, no shame, no ego, meaning when if I'm trying to come to you and try to get information from you or have a conversation with you,
Hmm.
I am not coming to you from a place of judgment. Like if I'm coming to have a conversation with you, it's not from a place of judgment. It is, hey, I'm really trying to understand and how do we find
Yeah.
this solution? And I don't want you to be ashamed, and that's why I say the no shame. Like if for whatever reason, let's say you dropped the ball or you didn't do something that you were supposed to do, I'm
Hmm.
not here to like I said, no
Hmm.
judgment, and I don't want you to be ashamed because maybe it was um a higher expectation that you put on yourself and you let your own self down and you might be embarrassed. Like I'm not here
Hmm.
to call that out. I'm just here to help us try to move forward. So if you put aside your ego and I put aside my ego, we can come up with a solution to move forward. So that's my whole thing. I'm writing a blog about it.
Yeah.
No judgment, no shame, no ego. But some of that stuff is hard to hear. How, so I know I'm kind of asking both. So how do you have the, I guess, the courage to give that, knowing that somebody might respond that way? And how are you, as the person receiving it, not getting all offended and bent out of shape, and letting maybe your emotions get in the way of what's really trying to be communicated?
Okay. So one thing also, I did write a blog, probably from one of our last previous way back conversation. Check it out because I talk about nice and kind too. I
Oh,
put,
okay,
I put it on,
synergy.
I put it on LinkedIn. Um, but in that blog I was thinking about, and this probably is good alignment. There, I talk about so I had a client that brought me in for a quick conversation. They were having some uh, accountability challenges, missed
Tell me
deadlines,
more.
and some more, right? And so I did this quick diagnostic that I love to do with teams where they get to tell us, whether they believe about their team and so on in about 6 different categories. At the end of that, we pull them all up and then we do the full assessment and then it goes, they were very, very high as a group in connection. They loved each other. They were high five. They had no problem. They would hang out after work and so on. But they were also very low in courage.
Hmm.
And so
Mm.
my first thing, as I pointed out, everyone kind of paused. But one of the things I said immediately, like I think you all are probably, well, how much eggshells are y'all walking on with each other? Right? That was the first question. But then it was because it was necessary because I said after that, it was about, I think you all are being very nice to each other, but I don't think you're being kind. And so, and this kindness and nice have this interesting etymology for it, because nice really has evolved in so many different ways that it's really hard to put a pin on it. It really has no moral obligation, no moral standing or anything. However, kind comes from belonging.
Mm.
Same word, same base for kindred of the
Mm.
same kind. And so when you're looking at it, there's some interesting story within that and its lineage of how it's evolved about, you know, acting as acting on behalf of someone else, acting on behalf of family. And so when you're being kind, I think it's like you have to see yourself in that person and you're giving them the right feedback. It is not kind for me to for me personally, to just let people walk off the cliff, right? Because I care for them. And so if I see something that can be improved or the way they're making a huge mistake, I may need to just say something or just have an inquiry, a
Mm.
moment of questions to see where they are, because maybe I don't see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
That takes courage. That does take courage because what we hope we're encoding, hopefully they're decoding. And that's not always the case
Not always the case.
because they have their own emotional state they can be in, the way they're looking at life, the way they are seeing the world. It may be just maybe a huge contrast with the way we see the world.
Right.
And so you just have to be ready for that. But there's something I will give folks, and I think this is really important. And it sounds odd, but talk to people like they love you. See?
Okay. Expound on that. That my
Well,
brain is doing mental
think about
gymnastics.
think about when you know someone really loves you, what your tone is. Think about your favorite relative.
Hmm.
How do you converse with them? That you know that not necessarily they're just your favorite, but you're their favorite, right? How do you have a conversation with them? It's really nice.
Well, I mean, hold on. Are you talking
Think
about
about
like coming from a Caribbean background? Because
it. It's either way. Even then, it's still that they know they love you, right? You're
yes,
still talking to them in a
yes.
way that you know that they love you,
Even though it is loud and strong.
even if it's loud and
Yes.
strong. That's just That's the way it is. Even if it is loud and strong,
Yeah.
we also understand, oh, it's just loud and strong. Love should be loud and strong. That's the way it works.
I love
And
it.
so, but I talk about that in a way that it's a way that you can also keep in mind that, oh, this person cares about me. So why would I try to uh, intentionally offend? On the
Right.
other side, if they're doing the exact same thing, why would they intentionally offend? They're not trying to offend. I don't think people are always intentionally offending.
Right.
In the same way, I'm like, oh well, if they are being, if they are intentionally offending, most of the times that's just a cry for help,
Mm,
right? Most of the times it's either you you're either affirming where you are, or there's a cry for help. And so even if someone is doing something and they're cussing and doing all this crazy stuff, it's sometimes okay. I could see beyond that because that's something that has really nothing to do with me. Probably it's maybe something I need to go a little bit deeper in if I have the courage to do so to figure out is something else happening here.
hmm
But that's the way. That's typically my particular approach. Is talk to people like they love you. Know that I'm trying to do my best job of encoding. So I'm also trying to read where you are so I could talk to that particular point, whatever your state is. If you are, and if I need to redirect or de-escalate, shift the emotional state, then I'll do my best to do that. And that takes some time.
hmm
Or, if I can walk away and come back, hey, when it's the better time, let me know. We can do that.
hmm
And then be ready if it is something where they feel like they're offended, know that I'm not trying to do that, but making sure that if they are offending, if they respond and they are trying to offend me, know that there's a cry for help. I hit something that
hmm
they didn't want me to hit, and that's totally okay. That's the only way we can get out of our comfort zones in many cases, especially from a leadership standpoint. People are going to feel offended sometimes because, as you're talking about, no ego and so on, that ego is always trying to keep us in our own little box, and it's going to do its best job to keep us in that particular box. And so it will defend itself as much as possible to
Yep.
keep away any type of dissonance that comes into our lives. It will defend itself with a shield of armor. So that's my particular approach as I go forward.
So I think the biggest thing that I heard is leveling up in the emotional intelligence.
Yes.
And if, because sometimes, well, or often people always put it on the other person, well, they came at me like this and they came at me like this. But instead of us putting the onus on them,
Hmm.
because we can't change them, us making the decision to have a mindset of their intention isn't to hurt. Maybe they don't know how to say it in a way that it doesn't. And this, everything is within reason. Like, I don't also mean you can't
Yep.
come at me talking any kind of way and like
Yep.
acting a fool.
Hmm.
Like, that's
Hmm.
not what
Hmm.
I'm
Hmm.
talking about.
Hmm.
But, like if somebody has a genuine concern and they're like, hey, I just want to talk to you about whatever,
Yeah.
you know, maybe taking the mindset of, let me hear what they have to say. And they're really meaning this coming from a good place.
Hmm.
Because if they didn't have to say anything if they didn't care. So in some cases, and I'm gonna talk really a lot in the field of volunteer engagement, right? Because we are working with volunteers, we're working with colleagues, we're working with all these other people, and so we're constantly getting stuff back, and people are saying stuff, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Hmm. Hmm.
But if they didn't care
Hmm.
in some way, shape, or form, they just
Hmm.
wouldn't have said anything.
Hmm.
So the fact that they're coming to say something, especially not necessarily, and you can tell when people come to you, and sometimes in, like you said, courage, because they come to you, they're like, oh, there's something I want to tell you, or, and they might even start off like, this might be difficult to say, and just instead of, like you said, bracing up to be defensive,
Hmm.
making the mindset to be like, let me hear what this person is trying to say. and take it. And my mindset is like they're coming at me with the intention of good,
Hmm.
and let that be my first response as opposed to a reactive response and then looking at it different. Now,
Hmm.
if I feel like they were coming with the intention of good and I give them then the benefit of the doubt and then they were crazy, then I can knock that. Then okay, then I can legitimately say, but I shouldn't be, my first response shouldn't be like, oh, what, like, what are you coming at me for? That, you know, like with my defenses and what my shield up, because then also people don't want to come to you anymore. And when people
Hmm.
stop, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, but when people stop telling you about yourself, you're not going to grow anymore, because how are
Nope.
you going to be able to grow if not? Now, I'm going to tell you, I come from a Caribbean Latino household. I
Hmm.
will be growing for the rest of my life, because we all know as soon as you walk in the door, you know, having that understanding of where they're coming from, but also learning how to set the boundaries, but also
Hmm.
understanding that they may not change, but I can.
There it is. And that's the part of the, like, invoking and using your own agency in the matter. I can't necessarily, I have no idea where people are coming from. And I mean that even my family, even my family,
Mm-hmm.
of where they are in that particular moment or every single moment of their life. There are certain things I have not experienced that were outside of my presence. Even if I was there in that particular moment, that same situation, how they experienced whatever that is not the same way may have I have experienced it. And so that keeps me in the mode of like I got to find out where they are right now, and I don't know how they are, but I know how I'm going to be. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to try to make sure that I maintain my own state as much as
Mm-hmm.
possible, and
Mm-hmm.
that keeps things actually can do some incredible things. One, you're staying calm the entire time. When there is even someone trying to, it really just turned into like a cathartic moment. It's like, ugh, I was like, I don't think this has anything to do with the project we just
Yeah.
did.
Right, right, right.
But I'm listening, but I don't say that out loud, but I know that's something different. And so I need to I just maintain, you have to be able to maintain that. And
Yeah.
again, offense is relative.
Mm.
It just, because somebody can just like we just talked about our families. Our families can say certain things to us, and it's just like y'all are crazy. Somebody else says it, and you're like, hold up,
Right, right, right.
you don't have the same privileges.
You don't have the same, and that
And
comes
so
from
that means
relationship.
that means the relationship is there and key, but also it also means that the words and how things are said, get interpreted in a relative to basically where we are at that moment, and that
Mm-hmm.
and that
Yeah.
proximity
Woo!
to love and so on. And so this is why the like a little philosophical system of talk to people like they love you shifts, and now it's kind of like it's a namaste, right?
Mm.
I see, you see, right? And we're recognizing, oh, that's where they're coming from. Okay,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm still myself, but okay, that's totally fine. You know, get it. If it's a negative or what we consider a negative feedback, that's why I say it's neutral. It's just great for learning how it's received. Now, of course, if people are saying that you have a particular proclivity and it's 13, 20 people,
Right.
hey, you have a pattern. You
Yes.
may want to fix that, or it could be affirming something like, "Oh, you have a pattern that you didn't even know," and people are actually saying this is great for you. I see that all the time when people are giving when we do like 360 feedback and things like that, and people are observing staff members and personnel do things that they didn't even think they were doing,
Yeah.
and they've loved it, or they say, "Hey, it's something they want to pay attention to," you know.
Nice. Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Excellent. Okay. Excellent. Okay. So I'm going to transition a little bit,
sure.
because like I mentioned before, a lot of people that listen to this, they are leaders of volunteers. They might be
Mhm.
in the nonprofit space,
Mhm.
etc.
Mhm.
Um, in all the things that you have done, how closely have you worked with? Have you led volunteers? What has been your experience with that?
Ooh. I have been uh, the person that is delivering plates and warm breakfast underneath the bridges
Mm,
to being the person that's over compliance for programs that are happening across the nation.
mm,
So from from rooter to tutor, from any from the ground up, definitely from being that first responder in disaster to making sure that that we had all the capacities and all the logistics ready to go. And so I've been in all the different spaces from in a lot of my work. I guess in the latter part of my when I was kind of working for someone, and even right now, is it was in design. One of the things people know about me a lot of times is that I would always have a journal with me.
mm,
Those journals, especially when I think when my colleagues start calling me the service nerd, is because I had literal, literally, I had program ideas, logic models written out
mm, mm,
in the journal. And so, yeah, I'm just coming up with, so like, what's the intervention for that? And I would work through it, do some research, jot some ideas down. And so many of the programs that I would end up developing, I just had to, huh, maybe this works, and then
mm.
build from there. And then once I'm in compliance, now I'm seeing things from the top down. I'm seeing especially if it's something I designed. This is how it's supposed to work. This is what the indicators are. This is how we need to evaluate it. I'm also monitoring that money, and I'm also, I'm trying to make sure I'm trying to make sure everything is going with and according to the design. So that's been a great thing, and we still volunteer to this day. And so I've been everywhere in that space.
Well, I love that. So I love that because you have the full like 360
Hmm.
view. So
Yep.
with that being said, and with the work that you do on a daily basis, what is an observation about the volunteer engagement profession? Like, what is a strength of the profession, and what is an area of improvement?
I think one of the strengths is basically that it is becoming more uh, concretized and realized as a profession.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's really important. On the other side, I don't think people, I think it's so simple. Well, I think not so simple. I think people simplify it in a way that believe everybody can do it.
Wait, hold on. Say that again, please, for the people in the back, please, and the people at the top, please.
I think
Again.
we've simplified it. So well, the latter part is basically that we simplified it in a way that we believe that anybody can do it. There is some truth to that, but there are also some key requirements for that. They have to be personable. They have to have a little understanding of human behavior. They have to understand their own values, their views, their bias. Um, they have to understand their inhibitions. They have to know what lens they're using to see the world. They have to be, those 5 or 6 characteristics I talked about
Yep.
at the beginning of the pod.
Yep.
They have to be introspective and so on. That's necessary because you could be working with corporate volunteers as well as some folks that are just coming from the school, some young people that are just rowdy and rambunctious and just going around everywhere. At the same time, you're also working with your team, same project, same moment, same 5 hours, same maybe even longer, whatever the project is going to be. All of that has to be in the same place. You have to be nimble in your thinking. You need to be able to be nimble in your dialect and vocabulary and lexicon because how we talk over here is not necessarily how we talk over here. We need to lead equitably based upon where we are. And so, and again, same project, I will have probably different, we can have uh, different approaches, different hats.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the problem solver over here, but also now I'm giving Gatorades out. You
Right.
know, like it's the
Right.
same thing. So there's I think any not I think it's this idea that anybody can do it. Yes, however, they have to be trained to do it well. like anyone can swim, but some people drown,
Yes.
right? You have
Yes.
to learn how to do it well so that you can survive and do it and to do it at an elite level. You definitely need to put the hours in. You definitely need to learn about people, learn about your particular environment, and so on and so on.
I love that you said that. Like anybody could do it. It would be literally the equivalent when people don't see the value of a skilled leader of volunteers to
Hmm.
engage volunteers within their organizations and in their community. It's the equivalent of having somebody who just likes to. Oh, I like to do budgets. Okay, well, here, come run my multi-million dollar company, and I want you to put the budget together.
Not the same.
Because you
Not
know
the same.
what? Because anybody can do it.
Yep. Yep.
But can they?
Yep.
I love what you said. They can do it, but can they do it well? There is
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
big
Hmm.
difference.
Yeah.
There is a big.
That's the challenge for folks. It's we have to be in a place where we start realizing, oh wait, yeah, there's some competencies that are necessary here to do it
Yeah.
well.
Yes. Ah. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have just a few minutes left,
Good.
but no, this has been really, really great. So if somebody's listening and they're interested and they're like, okay, I want to develop my leadership skills.
Hmm.
Is that something that they would call you for? Or do you
Definitely.
have like general, like, hey, you can go here, there's stuff that you can get? Like,
I mean,
what?
there's always some books that you can read, but also most of the work you need practice with. And so
Yes.
one of the cool things about having a coaching journey or going through a leadership intensive with us is that you have an opportunity to put it into play immediately.
Mm.
We don't necessarily want you to be stuck in the theory of anything.
Ah,
We want you
yes.
to be, so we want you to be in the practice of leadership. And so if someone has a challenge, one of the first things that we do a diagnostic. The reason why we do a diagnostic, and it can be of like your own leadership style, your deficits, successes, where you are in that place, so that we know where you are on the map. Once we understand, where you are on the, on that particular map, we can now set the direction of where people go. I have so many folks that have had. I think I've had the pleasure of working with, where they start off with, Trey, I want to be here. Okay, well, let's find out where you are.
Yeah.
By the time we get there, once we've really narrowed down and really pinpoint where we are, then I ask the question again: is that where you really want to go? Actually, no. This is actually where I want to be. Okay.
Mm.
Now that's where I want us to go, because and so we do values assessments in that place. We go through our 6 C's as well. We go through our keystone assessments and all of that good stuff. But we find out where people really are, because just like I said earlier, it is it is you that's showing up. You just can't turn this stuff on. It is
Right.
you that shows up,
Right.
especially and if you are wanting to be a leader, you are willing to be stressed. And so,
Woo!
you
Can
know,
you say that again for the people in the back? Please, please, oh
if you're
please.
wanting to be a leader, you're willing to be stressed, and keep
Mm.
that in mind, or at least or at least deal with stress. We'll say it that way to
Yeah.
make it
Yeah.
easier. You're willing to deal with stress. The stress comes from inside and outside, and so I think that's the key. If people want to work with me, if they want to look at advancing not only in their professional development but also in their own personal growth, that's why people call us. We're here, and we know the work. We know the work. We've worked with Fortune 500 companies as well. We've worked with government entities. We know the work.
Mm.
It really does not matter what industry you're in,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you're human.
Mm.
We know. So
Woo!
yeah.
There you go. This was so phenomenal, and I love hearing all of everything, the services that you all offer. And because oftentimes, again, this is how this whole conversation started. People are thrust into this leadership role. They're not really sure what they're doing. Maybe they didn't even want it. They were just like, I just want to. There's a lot of people in leadership. They don't want to lead people. They might want to lead a system or a program, but they don't necessarily want to lead people. And now they're having to lead all these people, and it's not really what they signed up for.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so I have one final question. We've talked about a lot of great things, and I love that you were talking about that ego and how it will defend itself. There's this book, actually, it's called No Ego. It's by Wakeman. If you
Mm-hmm.
haven't read it, read it and just be ready because your feelings are gonna be hurt. Like, oh, it is a brave person who will pick up the book that says no ego,
Love
but
it.
it's
Yeah.
so eye-opening, and the amount of growth that will happen because of it is phenomenal. Um, as we get ready to close,
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna ask you one last question.
Okay.
And that would be in general, right? Because obviously everybody's going to be different. You can't, but you've worked with a lot of people. So we're going to go back to what you said, patterns, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Patterns between like those who are leading that are successful and those who struggle. So just in all, and you've worked with all walks of life, all like types of organizations, et cetera, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera.
Mm-hmm.
In your opinion, what do
Mm-hmm.
you think is the greatest blind spot of any leader?
I would say that the the greatest blind spot would be that they don't know they have any,
Mm,
or that they don't believe they have a blind spot. It's interesting, the wise man knows that they know nothing.
hmm,
Once they realize, much wisdom as they obtain, they realize, oh wait, I don't even know what I don't know.
mm,
That and that creates, and that's vast. That's beyond our own cognition of
yeah,
what that could be. And so going into a place of not believing one that you are, uh, omniscient in some particular way creates a problem. And so, and the key things around leadership and is always having interests. If interest and inquiry will always go hand in hand. You have to be reading, you have to be investigating, seeing what's coming in. Data is going to be important to every single leader, and that's data from the person, from the humans that you're working with, to the project that's coming in. All the different factors that make whatever the widget that you're building work.
yeah,
And so that's the start. You have to be able and be willing to explore what don't I know and start. And once that fills in, you'll be a better leader overall because you start to get more data. Data, once you have it, you can use it more. You can use it more, hopefully for the good.
yeah,
Hopefully you don't just sit on it, but if it's there, you can do something with it.
yeah, and that's good. Like, cause that could be starting. I always say start with the self assessment. My biggest thing in life is because I hate to be told about myself. I'm not gonna lie. So I'd rather discover my stuff first
Great.
and I figure it out before
Mhm.
somebody has to come and tell me. So I am always self-assessing.
Yeah.
Like, how did this go? What could I do better? Like, and surely there's somewhere if we can Google something out there. There's like leadership self-assessment. Do you do these things? Da 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 da. And like really like doing like you said earlier, that introspective because there's two things that
Yep.
I hate. There's two things that I hate is to be told about myself and to have to go back and apologize. So I do everything in my power to
Yeah.
not set myself up to be in those things now. But if I am wrong, I will apologize.
Hmm.
I will do it. But I'm gonna do my best to not have to put myself in that situation. I'm not gonna.
Indeed.
Okay, I'm
Indeed.
not gonna.
Indeed.
Um,
Indeed.
but let me ask you one more thing. Like I know we're
Sure.
running out of time, but like, ooh, here I want to throw a little twist in there.
Okay.
If the greatest blind spot is believing that you don't have any, what if the blind spot that you believe you have is not reflective of what other people believe your blind spot is? So let's say because I'll be hard pressed to find anybody in volunteer engagement who is like, oh, I don't know what my weakness is and this and this, but um it might be, oh well, I think my weakness is this. But other people are like, yeah, no, your weakness is you're not a team player.
Yeah.
But as a leader, well, I know that there's things that I know that I'm not good at. I don't know if I'm
Hmm.
asking these right. I'm not know if I'm asking this right.
I think I
But
think I think I got you. Yeah.
is what you might believe in what everybody else is experiencing is not
Yeah,
the same.
yeah, that's where I mean, there's some incongruence there, of course, when that happens, and so I think it's there's two parts of this actually, and I've done this a number of different times when I give assignment to our coaching clients, and what are the words that you would want spoken about you if someone had to describe you and they're in a different room,
Mm,
right? Um, Now, how do you describe yourself? Two different exercises or two parts of the exercise. Are they lining up?
hmm,
It's
mm,
really odd. This is how I believe I'm being perceived. This is how I perceive myself.
hmm.
Now, that shows, equal sign with a slash through
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
right? Well, or a little two wiggles, kind of like. But I
Mhm.
think that's really important to pay attention to. But then you start to go and start to investigate. The next assignment is to start asking other people of what they see. In certain ways, there are some things that can be affirmed that as a strength for you that you actually thought was a weakness. It's like, no, 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 no. We love when you do this.
Hmm.
Oh, I thought I was too. No, no. Like when you come in and say these things, we love it. Well, I thought I was being a little too harsh. No, this is what we need, so that's why we can move.
Yeah. Yeah.
At the other side, on the other side of it, of course, there's some things that I think are, it can be, we believe is are strengths, but unfortunately, people are finding it to be a little harsh, or just we don't like it.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
don't think it's not producing what it is. Well, I have to take some time, and okay, yes, but every time you take that time, it feels like procrastination to us. We lose 3 days, and then or you disappear for 3 days because
Yeah.
you're creative, whatever it is, and it's like you have to be on Slack. I need to know things are
Right.
moving.
Right. 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 Right.
I'm a creative, like so. It's certain things, and I use it as an example. I don't know why, but I think that's something that certain things is just getting feedback. Again, going back into that place, feedback is very kind for us, and sometimes we don't necessarily know how we're showing up in the world. I think the best thing to know, what I hope though for folks, is that how you see yourself is equivalent to or even perceived better from others. And so like I could see myself in some particular way, but hopefully, you know, and I get it. I was, the other part is that I'm better than my worst critique, and but I'm also worse than than the most laudable statement.
Yeah.
And so I'm
Yeah.
right there in that moment. And so I have no problem with, getting the feedback, and you should be okay. Like the way I am, this is the way I am. And I know there are people that absolutely love me. And also folks who are like, not this guy again.
Yeah.
Totally get it.
Yeah.
Totally okay.
Yeah.
But at least one of the things that allows me to, and I think would allow other leaders to move, is that you stay consistent and you're writing your own story. You are authentic in your leadership. And people can say, you know what? I don't like all of it,
Right.
but he is or she is a real leader. She's been consistent throughout
Yes.
the process. They're not, pandering here and there. They are a steady leader. They're very present when they're there with us. And that's what we need. Because you'll find sometimes you may look up and all of a sudden someone that same person you'll find later on that you'll find later on, they feel like that just changed my life.
Yeah.
So like Cynthia, who was my coach, it was harsh in that moment of getting that feedback and how I thought I was showing up, but and she's probably received, she's very harsh, but
Hmm.
truthfully, she's been one of the most impactful, powerful leaders that I've had in my life.
So, okay. When it
Okay,
comes down to it, I
see,
think self-assessment is vital. And
absolutely,
um, an honest
yes,
self-assessment
yeah,
is vital, right?
hmm
You have to be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Like,
hmm
don't be kind to yourself and be honest.
hmm hmm
This is where I struggled. This is where I'm not my best. This is where I'm great. This is where I feel like you have something to say. Go.
I
I don't
do.
want you
I
to
do.
lose it. Go.
The only honest assessment, because I talk about this, so think about this from the space of where people want to be. Look at your day-to-day activity, your day-to-day thoughts. Are they in alignment with the person you say you want to be, how you say you want to
Mm.
be, right? How you want to show up to the world. If they are not in alignment, you are at a fork in the road, and you can shift it. You can shift it, and it doesn't take long to shift. But you can assess yourself and say, you know what? I have an opportunity here because what I'm doing is not give. And here's the: if it's not giving you, it is not getting you the result. Change the strategy. You don't necessarily have to change the result that you're going after. It may be something you're just not doing well. Figure out that, and it also look at your habits. Habits. The statement is that who said that? First we make our habits, then our habits make us.
Mm.
That's
Mm.
internally as well
Mm.
as that's and performative. Like it's going to be John Dryden. I said that. And I think that's important. Like you have to keep in mind, like, is what I'm doing right now in alignment with where I'm going
Yeah.
or who I say I want to be, who I say I'm becoming, what I say I want to do, how I want to show up in the world. If it's not, okay, you got it. This is feedback.
Yes. And what I want to say on top of that is listen, growth hurts. They
For
call
sure.
it growing pains for a reason. They
Yes.
prune back trees.
Yep.
They prune back, maybe not trees, but bushes.
Hmm.
Sometimes you have to cut. If you go to work out in order to build muscle, you have to hurt a little bit. You get sore.
Break it
There is
down.
some friction. There is some breakdown of something
Yep.
that has to allow for the new to grow. So I was, and it comes back to what you're saying, courage. Don't be afraid
Hmm.
to be broken.
Hmm.
Don't be afraid. Yes, it hurts. It sucks, but that is what growth
Hmm.
is about. And I love that you said being consistent. And I have this calendar. It's pretty funny. But it has a picture of like a geyser going off,
Hmm.
and it said something like reliability. Um, it's not a great value if it means that everybody can rely on you to blow up.
Yeah.
So when you
Yeah.
said consistent,
Yeah.
what do we like consistently showing up or consistently not?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like, and I love how you said how it's lining up to what you want to be, because there's one person in particular who I can think about who I remember this person was like, I pride myself on always getting a timely answer to you and something. But what they said that they pride themselves on and their actions did not line up.
Hmm.
Did not.
Yeah.
And the reason why that one in particular sticks with me, because I was so surprised, because they were like, yes, I pride myself on this. And I was like, cool. But I was like, but I thought
Let's see it. Yeah. Yeah.
so much. Okay. Self-assessment, do one, find one,
Hmm.
reach out to Trey, Google something, but
Yeah.
do something. Don't be afraid to hurt
For
and
sure.
be real with yourself
Yeah.
and sit with that and be okay with it, but grow through it.
Yes. Yep.
Because where they say, well, I don't know, maybe I say, I don't know. But if you're not growing, you're dying. But that means if
Yes.
you're growing, you're going to experience some pain. Nobody grows without experiencing some discomfort. If you are not
Absolutely.
experiencing discomfort in your leadership growth,
Hmm.
something's missing, because
Yep. Yep.
you cannot have one without the other. You're going to
Hmm.
experience some pain, you're going to experience some discomfort, but when you get on the other side of it, man, oh man,
Get it. Yeah.
is it phenomenal.
Listen, I don't think people wake up and say, "Oh, I would love." Oh, thank you. Ooh. sip their coffee. So I would love some cognitive dissonance this morning that will change my entire life and worldview. But anytime that you're learning something new and you're expanding your particular mind, you're learning a new leadership skill, you're learning a new skill, period, it won't retract back. And so there's like a molting, you're shedding of the skin, you're shedding of the old, you're creating new synapses in your mind and your brain as well. And I think that's just necessary. You're going to have to continue to grow. Especially if you want to be really functional as we get a little bit older, you got to continue to grow. You kind of keep being active, in everything that you're doing. And so, hopefully folks understand that you have to be ready. You have to be constantly bringing in new data,
Mm.
getting it all in, and using it, not just taking it in, but also using it, applying it, and then also distributing it, teaching someone else that as well.
Yes, it is not all about what you take in, but it's
Yeah.
also what you give back out. I'm going to go ahead and start wrapping this up because we could literally be here for another hour and a half, especially since I've been out for about a year. I
For
have
sure.
a lot of talk built up in
Yeah.
me. But Trey, thank you
Thank you.
so much for joining me on this conversation, helping me to be the first one out of the gate once I got back in the seat.
Absolutely.
How can people reach you?
You can always reach me at thinkforgood.org. That's thinkforgood.org or .com. It doesn't matter. Everything's going to come to me. You can reach me there at any particular point. If you have a question or inquiry, you can reach us at lead, at thinkforgood.org. And we'll do as much as we can to respond within 24 to 48. You can also find us on LinkedIn, on all the social medias as well. Our blog is called Braving Life on LinkedIn.
Mm.
You can definitely find that. And on Instagram and Facebook and all the others, we're just at Think for Good. Or you can find my personal blog or personal Instagram at Trey Deadwyler. So I'm around. Oh, and the last thing, if you still can't find us for find us for some reason, do a hashtag search for Service Nerd. If you don't see I guarantee you will see this face somewhere.
I love that.
And you can find me from there.
I love that. I love that. Well, I would be remiss if, you brought up journaling, and I have to talk about the journal that I have, literally
Right on.
Leaders of Volunteers, 101 affirmations for volunteer administrators. As you are going through your journey, maybe you start writing through the pain of, oh, I just found out about myself. I was just told about myself. And then you go back and you can see the growth pattern, or, and then you might open it and it'll just say, just like this one, the day you get told about yourself, ha ha ha, laugh to keep from crying. Sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
Sure.
But Trey, thank you.
Thank you
So much. And thank you all for staying on and listening. And thanks for joining us for this episode of From the Suggestion Box, navigating the good, the bad, and the say what. And this is the reminder, don't let the good stuff go to your head and the bad stuff go to your heart. Like, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.